Okay, I've got the Wissota 911 here, and I'm going to show sharpening a brand new pair of skates. At least one of them. This is a base, fairly base skate, I believe. The runner is fixed to the holder. There's no click mechanism, or not like the ancient style that bolts on. So a lot of times the steel on this is a little bit just requires a little bit more work. You never know whether you got to do 5 passes, 10 or 15 to kind of get the edge to be square and to get a good where you've got this edge to be good on both sides. So anyways, before I start on the 911 here, my spark breaker piece is got a pretty big gap on it because I'm at the bottom of the wheel here. This has got a 7-inch wheel. I'm just about to the end of it, but it still cuts pretty well. So I'm going to zoom in here and show you the spark breaker adjustment. I call it spark breaker. So there you go on there. This has got a 3/8 inch hex. Undo that, and you can put it in 2 different ways. I'm going to flip this around and put this like this. Get a little bit closer. Doesn't have to be too super tight. So there's not touching. Wissota turns counterclockwise. A lot of skate sharpeners go the other way. It doesn't really make that much difference in this sense. But if you show when you're sharpening the skate, you'll have people say, oh, you're going the wrong way, but you got to realize which way the disc spins. And this particular one, it's just sitting on a table, so it'll have a little bit of vibration because I've moved this around, may not have it. It's not bolted down. But this particular is a newer one. It's from 2011. That's part of the serial number on there. It does not have a centrifugal gizmo clutch. So when you for the start winding, so you don't hear a click. A lot of the older ones have a click. If you go back into the probably around 15 years ago, 20, 30. So there's a capacitor down on the bottom that can be replaced on that. And these are real good units, pretty robust. So I've got this on here. Now I'm going to cut the radius of curvature. I'm going to zoom back out here. Whoa! So on this particular unit, the radius of curvature is defined by where this head of this piece is with respect to the mark. It's set to 1/2 inch. Got it so there's a little bit of rub there. I'm going to kick this on. I don't right now have a vacuum going, so it makes a better video. Normally you can fix a hood here. So this cuts the radius of curvature. It's pivoting, of course, these pivots here. So from the center of the diamond to the line of axis between those is a 1/2 inch. So what you do is there's a screw on the back, a knob back here. You tighten up, and then you snug these down. So you move this top piece inward as you cut into the define the radius of curvature. So got the skate on here. This is a stainless steel blade. And if I go over here and find my square, I actually use a Starrett square. You can use a bat gauge. That little whoop you do there is because it's not pulled down. You leave it in the fixture here, and I use this square. These are about 150 bucks, if you can believe it. Put it on here to see that it's square. So what that's doing is it's looking at the edge of the two blades on here to see whether it's tilted this way, there's a gap, or this way. Let me see if we got a picture here. So for clarity, the bottom of the blade looks like this. And you want it to be perpendicular to this. So the square is going across here, these two edges, and I'm looking to see if there's a gap here or if it's tilted the other way. So you can eyeball through there. This is actually a machinist square by Starrett. That's what the Incredible Edger uses. I'm kind of used to using that. So if I go through here and feel this, I've got right over here, I've got a whole zone here that still has not got a good edge. And I'm just about down to the wheel. Now, this breaker is tied to the frame of the motor. This whole gizmo will move out of the way, in the sense you're not going to typically hit this, because where this is to this line of action is pretty much constant, whether you've got a brand new disc or another disc. So what you're going to end up doing is almost run into this. And I've got another, about a 3/8 of an inch. So I can feel on here, I'm starting to get a burr. On cheaper steels you tend to get a burr. On high-end stuff you tend not to. Now in here, when you move this, you don't really want to pull the skate, because you'll bias this. So down here, I may have goofed up in the video, there's knobs you can kind of grab to guide you. I just bumped into that. So I've cleared this up to where I've got a good edge onto here. And I can check the squareness over here. These machines will last a long, long time. That's square on there. This type of holder is a 3D holder. And let me go ahead and scoot this down and show you what the 3D holder is. 3D holder, Wissota, all the other brands have them. You've got more control because you can lift this edge up, you can tilt. But whether, it doesn't matter what the brand is, you got three things that can get goofed up. They used to have an old one called the tangent finder that's over here like this. You see a lot of these used that goes in here that just has 1 degree of freedom, and then it had this on some of them to lift it up and down. This is a little bit more idiot proof, but then I don't know. Sometimes I like this type better. One of these, any type of holder you have, you should almost make sure you don't have somebody mess with it. So I've gone through here and I can feel the burr on here. So I've got this down where it's all the way sharpened. I'm going to go through and put the other one in. Now I'm going to flip this one this way too, so I go the same direction. And any type of holder, any type of machine, you got to make sure if you got a really wide skate that's really fat, that you don't hit something like this and pull it up, because then you'll have a blunder. Now in higher end skates, you can click out the blade, just put the blade in here and you don't have to worry about any type of droop. In skate sharpeners that you got a heavy skate, like one of the older ones before they were all plastic, they'll tend to droop down, so you have to turn one of these knobs to lift it up. And this type of surface here on a used holder, you can get to where people have had a blunder and they've hit this with the wheel, and then this will be more of a knife edge, and it doesn't want to, it'll tend to rotate over more. This is my own unit. Nobody else has really used it, so it's a really great shape. I bought this Wissota brand new back in 2012. They hold their value real well. I want to say this was probably like $600 or $700, and now, due to inflation, you know, the way the dollar is, they're like $1,500. That's the first time this has been sharpened, and I can see that it's doing more of this edge than this one, so the factory doesn't have it square. I think a lot of these are all made overseas. I really shouldn't be doing this tilt stuff, but I'm right down to where I need to change the stone. What I do sometimes, I'll end up doing smaller skates to get more usage out of the stone. And I'll go ahead and leave this in the holder. See, there's no gap there. So this is cutting all the way up to this other edge. New skates are all over the place. I honestly don't like the bear on the heel and toe too much. I notice this won't do any dressing because the wheel's got a smaller diameter. So I'm going to go through and back this off just a little bit and turn this way. Again, they make a hood to collect dust. And what did it go the wrong way? Yep. You got to turn it this way. Whatever you do, you got to make sure you keep track of the diamond, because if you crash this in here, it's going to go flying, and you got to buy a new diamond. So better. A lot of times when I don't use a machine, I'll go through and purposely, there you go, to just a little bit more. Let's see if I actually cut a radius. Cut just a little bit more. Leave that up. Again, I'm at the past the limit on this wheel. That's cutting the whole blade. Need to bolt that down. I've been moving a lot of stuff around here, so this is just kind of in a little bit different table. That's square. A little bit of hesitation there, which isn't good. So I'm letting it go with the wheel. You can go against the wheel, with the wheel. Okay, there you go. I got a good edge on that. There's holes on here, you can bolt this down. On any type of used machine, a lot of times you'll find a holder like this and the clamp will be missing. Or it can have the wrong clamp. So that's why a lot of times it's almost better to get a brand new holder. I'm not trying to say you have to get a new holder, but used holders, it's common one of these will be gone. Somebody will have the wrong clamp on it. They'll show it over here, but it won't really fit right. That's because somebody passes away, or they inherit this stuff, or they buy it at a swap meet. This tends to get lost. It can be to where these jaws have been completely butchered from hitting the wheel a bunch of times, blunders. It can be to where this doesn't really clamp that well. And it can be that the whole thing is kind of goofed up. So a lot of times what you need to do is have a sacrificial blade to kind of calibrate your machine. So I've got a good edge through here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a little stone here and knock the burr off. I can usually tell by feel because I've been doing this a long time. I used to use a Wissota S8B, California, at a rink in Canal Valley a long time ago. No, the Wissotas have a slightly different Z height than Blade Master. I think it's a taller, I believe. And the Easy Sharp machine has two different Z heights depending on the vintage. And then I believe the Blackstone's got another one. So don't assume that a holder from one unit will fit another. Now Wissota does make a gizmo that you can go through and use one of the pixie dust wheels to touch this to define the radius of hollow. They've got a magnetic clamp and it uses the spinner system. It's about the size of a 50-cent piece. I think it's around $300, and you kiss the wheel here and define the radius of hollow. So I think that's about $300. It's got a magnetic clutch. And it's similar to the Blade Master like this, but it uses the smaller, the other brand, spinner to go through and hit this to define the radius of hollow. So you use spinners. Okay, the spinner system the Wissota has uses a spinner like this. So this is a 1/2 inch radius of hollow. Then the magnetic tool holder will go over and kiss this wheel and grind this radius of hollow onto the disc. So if I hold this like this and spin this around, you get it close, then you move it in and touch this, and that grinds the radius of hollow on there. And so this is wider than the disc, and that's a spinner. So this makes a little bit better finish sometimes than a diamond. It's all personal preference. Now when you've used this thing a while, what you do is undo this and rotate the diamond so the wear in the diamond is even. When I haven't used this in a while, I like to go through, back this joker way off. That's just so that I don't go ahead and turn this on and bang, hit the diamond and break it. So I don't mind saying, oh, I got to move this in a bunch to get there, but I've done that before, so I like this preference. I use a machine intermittently. Sometimes I'll back this thing way off. So there's the old tangent finder. Then this is the 3D skate holder. And then this is a 3D skate holder that is for figure skating. It's got a different piece on here that's longer. Different clamp on there. So that's their figure skate holder. That's the regular 3D holder. And there's one that, I don't know if you want to call it obsolete, it's the old tangent finder. And it, the senses tilt. There's a gizmo like this that goes on that you move back and forth on a blade. This bolts down on here. You traverse back and forth. So you can set this to 0 to see what the peak is on either side. And I believe that Wissota bought the company that makes this, or the rights to that. I don't know if the fellow retired. These have been around a long time. And then what I like to use, I use Precision Square by Starrett. Put it on here. You sight under there, and you make this as long as possible so you can get a good sight under here. It'll either be like this exaggerated or like this. I like to use this because I've used this with figure skating a lot. Figure skates, I always have one of those with me. And then this is the one we just did from Bauer. Got a good edge on there. I've knocked the burr off. And if you've got a high-end blade that has the coating on it, which is generally black, you use a piece of leather or rough paper and then knock the burr off, because you ruin the coating that's on the side on there. That's a stainless blade. That's about it.